Every time people talk about the future of the A-10, it turns into more than a simple debate. It becomes a clash between two very different ways of thinking. On one side are the people who push for modernization. They speak in the language of money, technology, speed, range, and efficiency. They want jets that can fly farther, strike faster, and survive in high-tech wars. On the other side are the people who actually fight on the ground. These soldiers and forward controllers know what close air support really means. They do not see the A-10 as outdated. They see it as protection. They see it as the aircraft that shows up when everything goes wrong. What is strange is how some critics try to explain why the Warthog should disappear. They often do not focus on what the plane can or cannot do. Instead, they point at how it looks. They call it ugly. They call it old. They say it belongs in the past. But pilots respect this aircraft. Infantry troops love it even more. Many soldiers will tell you there is no better friend in the sky than an A-10 when bullets are flying and the enemy is close. So why does this loud, rough-looking attack aircraft create such strong emotions? Why does it still inspire loyalty in an era dominated by stealth jets and advanced missiles? The answer begins decades ago, when the United States suddenly realized it had a serious problem. In the late 1960s, the U.S. military needed a new aircraft built specifically to support troops on the battlefield. During the Vietnam War, the Air Force's main close air support aircraft was the Douglas A-1 Skyraider. That plane was already an old design from the 1940s. It moved slowly, and it was extremely vulnerable to ground fire. It also carried limited weapons compared to what was needed. The results were painful. Around 266 Skyraiders were lost in combat over Vietnam. By September 1966, General John P. McConnell, the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, made a clear decision. The Air Force needed a dedicated close air support aircraft. This new idea was organized under the Attack Experimental Program, known as AX. 1 year later, the Air Force sent a request for information to 21 defense contractors. But the program became more serious in the spring of 1970. That was when the Air Force released a detailed request for proposals with strict requirements. The new aircraft needed to reach around 460 miles per hour. It needed a mission radius of roughly 285 miles. It had to carry up to 16,000 pounds of external weapons. It needed a takeoff distance of about 4,000 feet. And most importantly, it had to be cheap. The target price was no more than $1.4 million per aircraft, which would be about $12 million today. This was the first U.S. Air Force aircraft designed only for close air support. And from the start, people joked that it was the first plane designed around a gun. That joke was not far from the truth. At the same time the Air Force asked for the aircraft, it also demanded a new weapon. They wanted a rotary 30mm cannon with a firing rate near 4,000 rounds per minute, with the highest muzzle speed possible. After a long competition, Fairchild Republic was selected to build the aircraft. General Electric was selected to build the cannon. The plan behind the A-10 was simple but brutal. Stay close to the battlefield and protect the troops. It would not fly in, drop a bomb, and run away. It would stay. It would circle the fight. It would attack again and again until the job was done. The engineers designing this attack aircraft focused on toughness and simplicity. They avoided fancy solutions. They made choices that helped the aircraft survive real combat. The A-10 used two TF-34 GE-100A turbofan engines, each producing about 9,065 pounds of thrust. These engines were mounted high on the fuselage, far from the ground. This protected them from debris, small arms fire, and damage during rough operations. It also allowed the aircraft to be serviced and rearmed faster on the ground, helping it return to battle quickly. The engine design and exhaust routing also lowered its infrared heat signature, making it harder for heat-seeking missiles to lock on. The engines were separated from other parts of the aircraft by firewalls. Fire suppression systems were added as well. Even if the aircraft was hit, the designers wanted it to stay alive. Fuel safety was another major focus. The A-10's fuel tanks were placed near the center of the aircraft. They were also separated from the fuselage in a way that forced enemy fire to pass through the aircraft's skin before reaching the tanks. Fuel lines were designed to seal themselves after damage, and if the damage was too serious, check valves could stop fuel from flowing into broken tanks. Many key components of the fuel system were placed inside the tanks, so if a component failed, fuel would not automatically leak out. The refueling system could also purge after use. Extra protection against fire and leaks was provided by special foam layers inside and around the tanks. And even in a worst-case scenario, the A-10 still had a backup plan. If all 4 main tanks were destroyed, the aircraft could still rely on 2 self-sealing sumps. These could provide enough fuel for around 230 miles. It sounds impossible, but A-10 pilots have proven this in real combat over decades. The aircraft gained the nickname Warthog because of how it looked. The guns sticking out of the nose looked like tusks. The thick landing gear and wide body gave it the look of a tough animal built for fighting. But honestly, a better nickname might be Terminator. This aircraft is famously hard to kill. For one, it can survive hits from armor-piercing and high-explosive shells up to 23 mm. It also has 2 separate hydraulic flight systems for redundancy, plus a manual mechanical backup system if hydraulics fail completely. The pilot can still fly the aircraft even with serious damage. There is also a manual mode that allows the aircraft to return even after losing one engine, half of the tail, parts of the elevator, or even sections of the wing. The cockpit is protected like a tank. It is surrounded by over 1,200 pounds of titanium armor, often called a titanium bathtub. The plates are between 0.5 and 1.5 inches thick. This armor can resist 23 mm cannon fire and protect against fragments from larger shells like 57 mm rounds. Inside the armor, additional nylon layers reduce spalling. The windshield and canopy are also built to resist small arms fire. Around 6% of the aircraft's empty weight is just armor. Some A-10s even have a trick, a fake canopy painted on the underside of the aircraft. It confuses enemy gunners about the plane's direction and attitude, making it harder to hit. But the A-10's most famous feature is still its main weapon, the GAU-8A Avenger cannon. This is one of the strongest aircraft cannons ever made. It is a 7-barrel Gatling gun that can tear through armored vehicles like they are paper. The Avenger originally had 2 firing modes, a low rate around 2,100 rounds per minute and a high rate around 4,200. Eventually, the Air Force settled around 3,900 rounds per minute. At that speed, the full magazine could be emptied in about 18 seconds. In real combat, pilots normally fire in short bursts of 1 or 2 seconds. That reduces heat and saves ammunition. Technically, the cannon can fire continuously without instantly braking, but using all rounds at once causes heavy wear on the barrels and requires more inspections later. One smart design choice was the ammunition casing. Instead of steel or brass, engineers used aluminum alloy. That reduced weight and increased ammo capacity by about 30% for the same weight. A single 30 mm round is about the size of a beer bottle. The gun itself is so large it is bigger than a Volkswagen Beetle. And when the gun is removed, maintenance crews must support the aircraft's tail with a jack. Without it, the plane can tip forward because the gun is so heavy. The A-10 did not stay frozen in time. It received upgrades over the years. In the late 1970s, it gained the Pave Penny laser receiver under the right side near the cockpit. This helped it work with laser designators for better accuracy. During the 1980s, it received an inertial navigation system. In the early 1990s, it received the LASTE upgrade, which added computerized weapon guidance tools, an autopilot, and a terrain warning system, very important for low-level flying. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, upgrades continued. The aircraft gained GPS navigation, modern displays, and an improved fire control computer known as IFFCC. The Air Force also considered replacing the engines since they were aging, but the plan would have cost over $2 billion in 2001, so it was canceled. Then came a long wing replacement effort. By the 2010s, the Air Force worried about fatigue and wing life limits. Under the program known as Tusk, new wings were installed. This improved readiness, reduced maintenance costs, and gave the aircraft years of extra life. The Air Force believed it could remain effective until at least 2035. In 2016, Boeing stated that with the new wings, the A-10 could stay in service without major structural problems until 2040. The upgrade from A-10A to A-10C was a massive improvement. From 2005 to 2011, the fleet of 356 A-10 and OA-10 aircraft received modern systems. They gained all-weather combat capability, stronger fire control, electronic countermeasures, smart bomb support, and improved communication, including Link 16 and SATCOM. The cockpit was improved with 2 multifunction displays and a HOTAS setup, allowing pilots to control weapons and systems without removing hands from throttle and stick. The update, called Suite 10, improved targeting functions. It allowed pilots to handle multiple targets and attack with different weapons in one run. The aircraft also fully integrated the AGR-20 APKW's laser-guided rocket system, allowing precise strikes at the far edge of rocket range. By the start of fiscal year 2024, the U.S. Air Force still had 218 A-10s in service. In that same year, 39 aircraft were sent to the boneyard. Military leaders argue the A-10 will struggle to survive in future high-level conflicts, especially in a Pacific war against China. But even now, Congress continues to resist the Air Force's attempts to retire the fleet, and the A-10 is still flying real missions. In October 2024, Warthogs were deployed to the Middle East due to fears of more conflict between Israel and Iran and other threats in the region. Since then, the veteran aircraft have also been used heavily in strikes across Syria during renewed instability following the removal of Bashar al-Assad. Some people even believe A-10s could later be passed to foreign air forces, such as Jordan or Ukraine after U.S. retirement. But the truth is, the Warthog is not just an aircraft. It is an idea. It is a philosophy built from metal and common sense. It places mission success and soldier survival above beauty and fashion. It is power wrapped in armor. It is proof that technology does not always become useless just because time passes. Sometimes the core idea is so strong that it stays valuable for decades. As long as troops still need air support near the front line, the A-10 will not disappear easily. It may not look impressive at air shows. It may not be glamorous on television. But it does its job quietly, reliably, and with brutal effectiveness. Now it's your turn. What do you think can truly replace this legend? Tell us in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.